Hi everyone, this is Jeff Clark at thegoldadvisor.com, and this is a new episode of the Pay Dirt podcast. And I am joined today by Charles Funk, the CEO of Heliostar Metals. And there's a very particular reason why he's joining me, Charles. I'm going to get into that, but first, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you very much. It's a great week to talk to you.
It is a great week, yes. And one of the first reasons we wanted to talk to you was because of those drill results you put out yesterday at Paula in the high grade panel. And oh my gosh, this was, holy high grade, Batman. I mean, this was some really high grade stuff over long intercepts. The gram meters on that headline hole, Charles, was over 1,400 gram meters. I mean, that's really stupendous. That matches, most anything we see in this bull market so far. So congratulations on that. But tell us about that whole, tell us, there was three drill results in that report yesterday. Tell us about those and what they mean for Ana Paula.
Yeah, it's the high grade panel certainly living up to its name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even we're routinely used to 50 to 100 meter holes at 5 grams plus. That's pretty normal for us. To hit multi-ounce over those widths or half ounce over nearly 90 meters is phenomenal. And it's the consistency of what that means for mining. It means big mining shapes with very low cost, with spectacular margins. So what we recognized was, to put it really simply, the ore body was drilled on the wrong orientation. And the controls on the high grade were in the same orientation as the drilling, which either means it hit or it missed in the past. And so now we're just systematically and regularly drilling that off, adding ounces and lifting the grade. And this is a hole that expands the high grade panel to the north, it expands it to depth, and it very clearly adds to the grade.
Right. And so, Charles, I don't know if you can say it, but I can. This is going to make the resource bigger, right? And it's probably going to increase the overall grade, the head grade of what will eventually be a mine here, right?
Yeah, last year when we upgraded the resource, the indicated upgraded by 36% in gold grade. We think we're seeing evidence that we'll continue to get an uplift as we take inferred category this year to indicated. So it's just more drilling means more certainty, means you can connect the high grade zones, which are continuous better. There's nothing special to it other than more drilling, but it's going to do exactly what you said and lift the grade of the resource.
That's great. And you still have some assays pending from drilling here at Ana Paula, right?
Correct. I think we'll have a next batch, excuse me, sometime in January, maybe late January, early Feb, depending on the timing. We're continuing to grow the high grade panel at depth. We're pushing it down plunge. The previous results were 16 meters at 16 grams and 8 meters at 6 grams. Like we consistently hit mineable high grade gold, and we think that's going to lead to an expanded resource, which is going to be important next year when we get to construction decision at the end of next year.
That's right. I was just going to bring that up. You're going to make a construction decision on building that mine basically a year from now, right? But give us the pathway to when that likely becomes a mine. Is that in 2026 then? Is that maybe a little later? But draw Ana Paula out for us.
Yeah, Bo. So we'll talk separately. La Colorada leads first, and then by the end of next year, we'll have completed a feasibility study and made a construction decision on Ana Paula. We're drilling now to convert more inferred to indicated and to grow that resource to support that study. And we're proposing to build Ana Paula in two steps. First, a 50 million capex step that'll produce about 50,000 very high grade gold ounces a year. And then we'll double that capacity to 100, move from producing a concentrate to producing doré gold bars on site.
Mm.
So in 2 years from now, we'll be running at 50,000 ounces, and then 12 months after that, we'd look to grow that to 100.
Wow, that's great. And as you mentioned, that's only one mine. La Colorada, you're drilling there now, but that's going to be back in commercial production soon too. Give us the outline there, what's happening there.
Yeah, so La Colorada basically stopped because the company that owned it, Argonaut, when it was trying to build a mine in Ontario and the capex tripled. basically stopped investing into Mexico to build the mine in Canada. And so they've left behind quite a significant opportunity for us in that there's a 380,000 ounce reserve under the Creston pit. And what we recognised is the shallow parts just haven't been drilled or have been very sparsely drilled. And
Mm.
so there's a huge power in drilling the shallow parts of a pit because that's gold up front and that's lower upfront capital. More of it moves into your
Mm.
sustaining expenditure. And so we put out results. The best is 5 meters at 18 grams. So some incredibly high grade, but lots of sort of 1 gram plus oxide material, which is very high margin for that kind of material, or at least it has the potential to be. And so right now there's 5 drill rigs turning. It's a logical
Mm.
question to say, if Ana Paula can return multi-ounce results, why are there 5 rigs at La Colorada? And that's because the drill holes at La Colorada we expect will be on a leach pad by the end of next year. So they become cash flow
Yeah.
in our pocket quicker. And so we're aggressively drilling at La Colorada. We're going to restart production in January, and we suspect it can continue on for 8 to 10 years, a combination of the pits and the stockpiles, averaging about 50,000 ounces of gold a year.
Right. And importantly, and this is in Mexico, that particular mine would be open pit, right? And it's already permitted. Is that right?
Correct. The stockpiles and the expansion of the main pit. There's some other areas that we'd love to permit and expand, but the main part of the pit and the stockpiles, we can start tomorrow. In fact, we are going to start in January.
That's great. That's great. And you have a third potential operation that you could put into production as well, right?
Correct. So we're producing from San Augustine in Durango. So we've got 2 producing assets right now, San Augustine and La Colorada, and we aim to bring a third online with Ana Paula. As San Augustine, we need a permit to expand. So right now it's the bulk of our production. We expect to produce from San Augustine until late next year. If we can get a permit, we think it's got multiple years ahead of it. And we actually think it's got some really good upside potential. So we'll
Mm.
focus on the Colorado for the next few months, Ana Paula after that. But just remember the name San Augustine and give us 6 months with it. We can't do everything at once, but we think there's a lot of optimism around that portfolio. The thing that surprised us the most about this transaction is how much upside we have. Every
Mm.
resource is open. At these gold prices,
Mm.
there's huge opportunities. At our guided AISC for the back half of 24, that's 20,000 ounces of gold at today's gold price, nearly $1,000 margin. So we're making good money, and we think we can expand that production, and then we think we can grow the resources. It'd probably be the best deal I'll ever do in my life, if I'm honest, Jeff.
Well, it wasn't that expensive, right? You didn't pay a whole lot for all the existing infrastructure and mines and the upside potential, like you pointed out.
Yeah, multi hundreds of millions of dollars of sunk capital at each of these projects. And we paid 5 million, and the cash flow that we're getting from the business is paying that 5 million with a bridge loan that will close out in Q1 next year. So to cancel a $20 million liability that we owed, having optioned
Yeah,
Ana Paula, to get production that pays for itself, and then to get this amazing reveal that there's stockpiles, that there's open resources, it's turning into an incredible opportunity for our shareholders.
that's great. Lots of catalysts, lots of moving parts right now, but the bottom line is you're going to be a 100,000 ounce annual producer within what, 2 years? By 2030, you could be producing as much as 500,000 ounces of gold per year. Is that a stretch, or am I on
So there's
track
two
with
there's
that?
two parts there. That's our stated corporate goal that we want to grow to 500,000
Mm.
ounces by the end of the decade. If we could build every mine in our portfolio, I suspect it could support well over 400. So we've actually got a pretty incredible organic pathway to get the bulk of the way there. But in 4 years, we've gone from a startup into multi-asset production. Just watch what we might do with the next 6 years. We're an aggressive team. We take risks where we think there's mispriced value in that. Clearly, gold
Mhm.
was a huge valuation and equities were at a low valuation. So we took a big risk, and it's really paying dividends. I think for our shareholders, the two big catalysts to watch for in January is our 2025 production guidance and a technical report on La Colorada. That's the first look at the economics of La Colorada restarting. So a couple of things to watch for in the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks, as well as more results in the meantime.
Very exciting. So it's definitely not too late to buy the stock. It's very
If we
undervalued.
deliver what we
There's
think we can over the next 12 months, we're a much more valuable company than we are today.
Well, maybe you can't say it, but I can. I mean, this is a five bagger in waiting, even from current levels, even though we're up, more than a double on it. So it's definitely not too late to buy. This is going to be a strong mid-tier producer within 2 to 3 years and a commensurate stock price to go along with that. So, Charles, congratulations again. Any last words you want to add to investors?
No, I think you've summed it up succinctly. We're cash flow
Yeah.
positive and we're growing.
Yes. Full disclosure, Heliostar Metals is a sponsor of our site. I do own the stock. I am overweight the stock, so that tells you how I feel about it. So be aware of those things. But keep in mind, we don't invite anybody on the site. We get a lot of requests to come on the site, or they want to come onto the site. We only invite those that we think are the strongest, and Heliostar Metals is definitely one of those. So Charles, thanks for joining me and thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this video and it was useful to you as an investor. We'll see you in the next video.
Thank you.